movies. He's got it all. He's an Outpost nerd living in a geeky world with his lightsaber shining. He's a Star Wars swerve through galaxies and adventures. He'll take you there, take you there. He's an Outpost nerd, no one can compare. Nerd power. Yeah, he's the king of nerds, catching out there.
What's up, my geeks, nerds, and dweebs? Welcome to the Outpost Nerd. I am the nerd of the Outpost, and I hope everyone's doing great today. So, I wanted to stream after a hectic week. This has been just one hectic week for me. Sadly, I had 2 funerals back to back this week. Hi, Shelly. Talking Trash and Truth. Hey, how you doing? People, check out her channel. Great channel. She streams great morning shows 3 mornings a week. Check her out. But this week was a hectic week. Just wanted to stream 2 funerals, 3 job interviews, and a bank crisis. Had 3 job interviews this week at different locations. Already heard from one of them, didn't get the job. Yeah, it happens. Just waiting for the other 2. Supposed to have them all in one day, all 3 of them in one day, but then I go to my first interview, go to the gas station to get gas so I can make it to my next interview. My card gets declined. My ATM card gets declined. It says, "Hey, Rex, thanks for coming. What's up?" So my card gets declined. It says, "No available assets." I'm like, "No," and I start freaking out. I'm thinking, is all my money gone? Because I've had issues with my bank, like my information getting stolen, but they've always caught it really fast. They've always been good at catching it and get my money back for me. So I go to the ATM. It says invalid PIN, no assets available. So like, oh shit. So I hightail it home. As I'm home, I call my other 2 job interviews, which I had that afternoon. I call and say, "Hey, I have an emergency. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I got to reschedule." And luckily, the ladies were super nice. They said they understood life happens, shit happens. And they said, sure. So I rescheduled one for the next day, and the other one, this has all happened on Tuesday. So they rescheduled for one for Wednesday and the other for Thursday. I get home and check my bank account online. All my money's there. For 5 hours, I'm on the phone with the bank. 5 hours. Ugh. And people know, a lot of people know, that's up there with like getting a root canal for me, is being on the phone with the bank that long. So I deal with that. It's 2:30. So, and then they tell me, "Oh, all we're going to do is we're going to deactivate your card and you're going to go reactivate it with a new PIN. Something happened. Your PIN didn't work. For some reason, the credit card company said, oh, you put it too many times. You must have put in the wrong PIN." I was like, no, I did not put the wrong PIN in. It's the PIN I've been using forever. Hey, you need rest, Shelly. I don't know. What time did y'all get off Discord last night? Because it was like 3:30 my time when I got off. I actually just woke up like 15, 20 minutes ago. But they said, "Oh, all you need to do is change your PIN." I was like, "You couldn't tell me this 4 hours ago so I could still have gone and made it to my interviews?" So you know how banks are. But I went the next 2 days. I went to my other 2 interviews. Really good interviews, I think. I'm hoping for the I work with kids as a teacher's aide at the moment. I'm hoping for the middle school one. I like the freedom to move around between different classes. So I'm just waiting to hear. Since yesterday was Good Friday, schools were out, so I knew it'd be late or early, depending on how you look at it. Early morning. But yeah, but for this we had spring break, and spring break was just one of those weeks. You could wish you could just I could have fast forward to, because I lost an aunt due to a long time illness, and then we suddenly lost my uncle. My dad's the middle of three, and it was his younger brother. He had fallen, and he had been having health issues the past few years. So it had gotten hard for him to move around. He fell very suddenly. So it was back to back. Saturday was the aunt's funeral. Monday was the uncle's funeral. So I needed to stream. I needed to just get on here and chat and vent. So, but things can only get better, knock on wood. With Easter tomorrow, I'm really, really excited because I love doing Easter with my niece. It's gonna be fun. But I've been just, yeah, yeah. Just this week, I've been so tired. I've been mostly. I don't know what's wrong. I have issues sleeping at night. It's like the night before my uncle's funeral, I didn't fall asleep till like 4 o'clock in the morning. Just lying there, tossing and turning, not being able to fall asleep, and then your body waking up at 8 o'clock. My body, like between 8 and 9 every morning, no matter what time I go to sleep, I'm awake. Like I woke up today, yes, at like 8 or 9, did a few things for like an hour or two, but then I felt so tired, I fell asleep for like at 2 or 3 hours, and I had to put an alarm to make sure I got the show started on time. So I just woke up from like a nap like 20-25 minutes ago. But I was able to get a break a little bit this week, and I went and saw new Ghostbusters movie, which I enjoyed. A lot of people are criticizing it. I'll go in next week with an in-depth review, but I just want to give my brief thoughts about it. It was okay. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best Ghostbusters I saw. I still love the original. Nothing to me will beat the first two. I love the first two movies. I grew up watching all the animated series, the Real Ghost Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters, and then Extreme Ghostbusters. So I hold the original crew holds a special place to me. When me and my brother were little, I had the Ninja Turtles stuff, like the Ninja Turtles sleeping bag toys, and my brother was the Ghostbusters nerd. He had the Real Ghostbusters sleeping bag. But I was able to go out to our big movie theater. We have two movie theaters, and I went out to the big one, and they had a local Ghostbusters chapter, all of them out in their jumpsuits and with their proton packs, and someone that actually bought their own Ecto-1. So it was sitting out in the theater. I got pictures of it. but it was good. Some of the casting were some actors I absolutely despise. I hate Patton Oswalt and Kumal Nanjiani, or however you say his name, the guy from the Indian guy from the Eternals. Can't stand either one of them because it's always the same thing with them. Patton Oswalt is always the reclusive, nerdy know-it-all, and Kumal Nanjiani is the overconfident loser that if you dealt with a person like them in real life, you'd punch them in the throat. But I love seeing where the new characters were. I loved seeing how some of the older characters are dealing with new things. One thing I didn't like, Dan Aykroyd wasn't in the movie as much as I would have liked. It followed mostly Winston and Ray of the old Ghostbusters, but as usual when I'm talking about a movie, I'll share the Rotten Tomatoes. So here we have the critics who don't know what the hell they're talking about. In my opinion, 44%. That's probably, I think, the lowest. Next to probably Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 could probably be lower. I'll check that in a moment. But the audience score, like I always say, the audience score is the one you need to focus on, because Hollywood should not be making movies for critics, because critics, they're gonna usually puff up their reviews so they look good in the eyes of the studio, so they don't lose access to all the parties, all the actors, So this is why I say don't listen to the critics review. But let's read the critics consensus. Consensus. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire offers a certain amount of nostalgia fueled fun for fans of the original, but a crowded cast and surprisingly serious tone prevent the sequel from truly sparking. Yeah, there were some characters that could have been done without, I think. Just like the certain two I remember. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has plenty of nostalgia. This is what the audience says. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has plenty of nostalgia for long-time fans, as well as fun for multi-generational action for younger audiences to enjoy. And let's see. Let's look at Afterlife. I loved Afterlife. Afterlife was... See, this, again, I'm wondering why the critics? What does the critics should say? Ghostbusters Afterlife crosses the stream between franchise revival and exercising nostalgia. And this time around, the busted mostly feels good. Okay, why then the low critic score? The audience says, a great cast, a fast-paced story, and tons of callbacks to the original movies make Ghostbusters Afterlife fun for fans of the franchise. Yeah, Afterlife was a way, I think, too, that new fans were able to get in, and it allowed them to... it was a nice springboard for new fans because you could still follow the story. You didn't have to know what happened in other stories because it explained it fairly well. Let's see, what does they say about the original Ghostbusters? Let's see. There it is. See, It's a 95 critics score and an 88 audience score. Now, this to me is if not the best movie of the 80s, in my opinion. Critics' consensus: an infectiously fun blend of special effects and comedy, with Bill Murray's hilarious deadpan performance leading a cast of great comic turds. Yeah, I see that. One thing that can make or break a movie is the casting, and that's what I think. One thing I think that Ghostbusters did well. That even though Dan Aykroyd wasn't the first choice for Peter, the first choice was John Belushi, but sadly he had passed away. Because Dan Aykroyd worked with him on the Blues Brothers movie and on SNL. All these guys. I don't think Harold Ramis and Ernie Hudson, they weren't, but the main cast, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, they had worked together. I think I heard that it's other than starring, they worked together on almost 20 movies in the 80s. But then they had that big dropping out, and luckily before Harold Ramis passed away, they were able to this, from what his daughter said, that Dan Aykroyd he didn't know where they lived. He knew this town, but they didn't know where, so he went to the police station when Harold Ramis was on the verge of death, unaliving. Sorry, YouTube gods. He got a police escort, and the police actually brought him to the Ramis house, and they were able to reconcile. And his daughter said they spent hours and hours talking before Harold Ramis passed away. That's one thing I loved about Afterlife. They did the tribute to Egon and Harold Ramis so well. It wasn't so in your face, but it was so sweet. I have never seen such emotion conveyed. And this is a sign of acting, when actors can really do this. So much emotion and power between characters conveyed in silence. Egon never said a word in Afterlife. The stand-in that they used was actually Ivan Reitman, the director of the first movie. His son was directing it, and he was the stand-in, and then they digitally overlaid and aged up Egon over him, and it was so emotional and so sweet. Loved it. And then at the end, when it says for Harold, it was really a great tribute to both the character and the actor. And then when Ivan Reitman passed away not long after Afterlife. So one thing I was glad he got to live long enough to see a new generation of fans. Because even though, yes, we got Ghostbusters in 2016, the fandom is very torn between that. I don't care that it was an all-woman cast. That was fine. I cared that the quality of jokes in Answer the Call, as it's called, were so low, I couldn't get through the first 20 minutes of it. In like the first 20 minutes of the movie, they're making queef jokes, and I just turned that shit off. I'm like, no, I couldn't do it. Not gonna do it. As George Bush said, not gonna do it. But like I said, I grew up. I had the blue proton pack and the PKE meter. I had the trap as a kid. Oh, I wish I still had that stuff. But here's Ghostbusters 2. 55, it's major drop from 95 to 55. audience score. See, yeah, this, yeah, yeah. Frozen Empire has a lower um, uh, consensus than this. Critics' consensus. Thanks to the cast, Ghostbusters 2 is reasonably amusing, but it lacks charm of and energy of its predecessor. No, I disagree. I'd have to disagree. I loved, like, I really enjoyed the. I like the story of Ghostbusters 2. Um, I loved seeing, like, one of my favorite scenes is when you think Ray and Winston, they're running up to this nice brownstone with their packs. They're gotten out of Ecto when they're getting out their packs, and you think, oh, there's about to be a bust. Oh, we're probably gonna get a bust this early in the movie. Nope, it's a children's party, and Dutch kids are not happy to see them. They wanted He-Man, and that always made me laugh. Just seeing this how rough it gotten for the team that they were resorting to children's birthday parties. But I just hope they don't do what they did with Star Wars and oversaturate us with Ghostbusters. Because it was recently announced on Netflix that there's going to be another Ghostbusters animated show. And I'm afraid that it's going to go the way that a lot of other franchises have gone, this oversaturation. See, to dumb by Netflix. Who are you going to call? How about a new Ghostbusters animated series? See, that Netflix is announcing partnership with Ghostbusters production house Ghost Corps. The new series will eventually be produced by Jason Reitman. So, okay, good. Reitman is still involved. They both wrote Afterlife. See, this is going into their background, Reitman did Juno, Up in the Air. Yeah, he's been doing a lot of animated shows that I don't watch. Talking about, this isn't the first time Ghostbusters has gone animated. In the 80s and 90s. The real Ghostbusters, I talked about that before, those are shows I watch, and Extreme Ghostbusters, which takes place, like, a lot of people don't realize it, late 90s. Ghostbusters have been disbanded. Egon is the only one left at the firehouse, so he lives there and monitors lives there with Slimer and monitors the containment units, but he teaches, like, a paranormal class at the local university. And ghosts start reappearing, so he recruits his 5 young adult students, and they become the new Ghostbusters. Great cast, great characters. Alfonso Rivera played one of the new characters. Tara Strong, from who we know from, like, Fairly Odd Parents, did voice of Timmy Turner. Harley Quinn a lot in Batman. So she played Kylie Griffin, who was one of the new Ghostbusters, first female Ghostbuster, and it was pretty cool. She would carry the trap, which was about the size of it looked like a trash can lid. Like, she could throw it like a disc and it would slide under it and she would press the trap. But instead of a big proton pack, like, she had like a proton pistol. We've seen a lot in the comics. And I loved it. Great series. The original Ghostbusters come back. The animated characters. This doesn't go into like details about it, so it's probably gonna. They probably don't know what they're gonna be doing yet. But it was, like I said, it was a decent movie. It was a great time to really relax and get away from everything going on for a few hours, and I really needed that. I did kind of splurge a little bit. I had put money aside before for a few months when I first heard about this, and I did kind of splurge a little bit. I got a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man popcorn bucket and this little Ghostbuster symbol, little pillow. This is what I ordered a large popcorn, and this is what they gave it to me in. So, but I like it. I'm gonna be keeping this stuff. One thing they were giving out, which I was kind of bummed that my local theater wasn't doing this. They were giving away. They were offering popcorn, ghost trap popcorn tubs, which a lot of people are going around buying them and reselling them for like $200-$300. So I'm like, no, I don't want one that bad. But it was a nice 2-3 hour diversion from a really hectic week. So, but I'm cautious about the new stuff coming out. You know, I think the problem going with like Star Wars, or Marvel, like I said before, we're just so overly saturated with new things. I think they're trying to milk it for all it's worth and beat a dead horse. That's the problem. That's why people, and they're concerned with quantity over quality. And I'm hoping and praying Ghostbusters doesn't fall into that, because due to this recent movie, Ghostbusters is now a $1 billion franchise. This is from GameStop. After 40 years, Ghostbusters is now a $1 billion film franchise. Ghostbusters officially crossed 100 billion threshold as the latest entry in the series. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire had a 45.2 million opening weekend. Doom Part 2 earned, and I'll be talking about that in a minute, earned 17.6 at the U.S. boxes, according to Box Office Mojo. And globally, the film has made 547 million so far. Combined with the 432 million global box office gross of its predecessor, Doom franchise under director Dennis Wood, no idea, has also crossed the $1 billion mark. Despite receiving mixed reviews, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire surpassed the opening weekend of Ghostbusters Afterlife, 44 million. It's not bad, and did better than expected. Exhibitors estimated the film to open range of 30 million based on early ticket sales, but Frozen Empire surpassed those numbers. And I'll get into more of that next stream. But it mentioned Doom 2, which let's bring up the Rotten Tomatoes for Doom 2. I enjoyed the movie immensely. Really liked the original one. I thought that one thing that, from what I've read about in the stories, in the world of Doom, due to the creation of personal shields, firearms have kind of gone extinct. So that's why you see a lot of fighting with daggers and swords and bladed weapons in there, because they explain it like the shields can deflect firearms, so you got to come in slow with a dagger and then strike hard into the person. So that's why, like, the big fight between, and I'm not okay. People, Dune has been around so long; it has been done so many times. I'm not doing a spoiler because everyone who's interested in this should already know it. When when Paul and Fade Ralpha, the nephew of the Duke, is fighting, that's why they use daggers. They don't like dual like how we would think with guns. They really, I think, really got that style of warfare down with these new movies. Now, on the opposite side, they really changed. Oh, what's the character's name? Um, Zendaya's character. I can't. Chani. Yes, yeah, they really changed Chani, who's, yes, she's supposed to be a warrior, but she ends up being Paul's concubine, I guess you'd say. When he becomes emperor, he takes, to solidify his rule of the control of the throne, he takes the princess as his wife. But he's not going to have anything to do with her. He hates her. He's just taking her as his wife for political reasons. That Game of Thrones kind of style thing. And they changed Chani to this really. They took all the religious aspects of the character out, and it really, I think, really made her character suffer. But I enjoyed it. It was a fun movie. It had Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, all great actors and great cast. But there have been talks about. I've heard rumors that they're already talking about. Sorry, they've been doing talks about a Children of Dune movie, which it follows Paul in his years, in the next few years as emperor, him trying to keep the throne. It follows his children, and at their time as emperor. It's an interesting series. They did a mini series of it years ago, which was good. It was a sequel to the Dune mini series that they did. It was good. It was a TV miniseries for both of the Dune and they did the Dune movie in like the 80s, which was really beautifully done. They filmed a lot down in Mexico, in deserts, but they also had these beautiful painted sceneries that were just beautifully well done. Patrick Stewart was in it. It was his first stint into sci-fi, so it's early Patrick Stewart in his career. I think about a year or two later is when he started Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was 1984. He did that Dune. Frank Herbert. Yeah, it was. Let's see. When did? Yeah, it was about 3 years later. He did Next Generation, and so Next Generation wasn't his first foray into sci-fi. But next movie just came out. New movie that just came out this weekend: Godzilla versus Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Let's see if there's any reviews for that yet. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I really love those. I love kaiju movies. I love those giant monster movies. Yeah, so let's see. Rotten Tomatoes has already got wrong button. Already got their reviews. Let's see. We're not going to talk about the plot because I don't know the plot yet. Again, 50. Again, low. There doesn't seem to be any pleasing of the critics this season. I don't know. Maybe they're still bitter about the strike. I don't know. But 92% audience score. Let's see. Critic consensus. Come to Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire for the sheer monster mashing spectacle, and stay for that too, because that movie doesn't have much else to offer. Well, that's because, you idiots. Monster movies are not supposed to be about the people, about the humans. It's supposed to be about the monsters. Why the flying fart monkeys would you go to a monster movie and be concerned about the people? Excuse me. I've never understood that about why people crap on these Godzilla, these giant monster movies, as if, and it's just for that reason. There's not much else going on. Yeah, there's not supposed to be much else going on. It's supposed to just be good old fashioned monsters crush the city kind of thing. That's why we go see these movies. We don't go to see the interpersonal drama between the humans scurrying around the monster's feet. Let's see. I'm going to talk about. Let's see. How does. Wow. Okay, so when I grew up in the fading era of afternoon cartoon blocks, and Saturday morning cartoons. When I got in middle school and high school, they kind of stopped doing that. The network stopped doing these big blocks of like Fox Kids, this Kids WB, all those big Saturday morning cartoon blocks. One show, I would come home. I'd get home around a little after 2, since I'd lived just a few blocks from the school. I would turn on Fox Kids, and X-Men was one of the best shows on there. You couldn't help but like get super excited when you hear that awesome guitar riff. That guitar riff, like you're like, yes, yes. So for years, people have asking, we want more of that X-Men, and recently, and this is why I say. This is why I disagree with those critics, and they know who they are, that says, oh, Disney sucks all around. That they nitpick these things that these studios do. And then they laser focus on those little things, and then they shit on them over and over again. X-Men 97 follows that same style, let's see. Let's see. Let me. See, like this. Okay, yes. Look at them. It's 1997 still. This is 90s style, so of course they're gonna have like the crop tops, and look at Storm right here. The crop tops with the leggings under it. Rogue. Of course, she still got her bodysuit. Gambit with the board shorts. Like you see Bishop and Beast with the same thing, and then Morph back here with the tank top. Of course, it's 90s. It's not going to have to look at. One thing I do like, other than Storm's hair, that was odd. They really got the 90s style look down in it. Love Love that they added Morph and Bishop to the team. See, love the combos. Ever since the Avengers, we've been seeing the super like hero combos here. They're fighting, and Gambit, he can supercharge anything he touches. He does that to Wolverine's claws, which give them like a concussive blast. It's really cool. Them and the Blackburn. I love that they got the old style, sleeveless yellow and blue uniform for Beast. I mean Wolverine. Beast is one of my favorite mutants. In this one, Scott and Jean are about to have a baby, so that's why you don't see Jean in the fighting sequences. She got a little belly right there. And I love this shot. The Blackboard had just been shot down, and they all land like superhero landing. How Deadpool would say, in the desert. But it's a good show. I recommend for fans of the '90s X-Men cartoon. I think it's very good rendition of the comics. They take aspects from the comics and added them into it, but it's also good. It stays true to the '97 series. But so that's entertainment wise. That's really all that's going on. I'll do a bit more videos in more details. But I've been also like, one thing I do to relax, I write new D&D characters, and thought I'd share my favorite class. I think I've shared a little bit of this before, but my going from movies and entertainment to gaming. I love D&D. I am a D&D nerd. I will eat, drink, and sleep D&D stuff if I could. My absolute favorite class. This is the class I've had the most fun in at tables. It's so versatile. You could play any party role can be filled with this class. And I absolutely love it. I love the versatility, just options are so much fun, and the badass. They're badasses on the battlefield, both support wise and tank wise. I love the monk class. The monk class is my absolute favorite class in D&D. I love kung fu movies, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, all those cheesy 80s and 90s, early 2000s kung fu movies. Love the Rush Hour movies. Oh, I love them. The first and second one are my favorites. I didn't like the third one all that much, but it was fun. I'll just share little details about the class. His fists blur as they deflect an incoming hail of arrows. Her fist blurs. A half-elf springs over a barricade and throws herself into the massed ranks of hobgoblins on the other side. She whirls around them, knocking their blows aside and sending them reeling until at last she stands alone. Taking a deep breath, a human covered in tattoos settles into a battle stance. As the first charging orc reaches him, he exhales, and a blast of fire roars from his mouth, engulfing his foes. Moving with the silence of the night, a black-clad halfling steps into a shadow beneath an arch and emerges from another inky shadow on a balcony a stone's throw away. She slides her blade free of its cloth-wrapped scabbard and peers through the open window at the tyrant prince, so vulnerable in the grip of sleep. Whatever their disciplines, monks are united in their ability to magically harness the energy that flows into their bodies. Whether channeled as a striking display of combat prowess or a sudden focus of defensive ability and speed, this energy infuses all that a monk does. Here are the class features, typical hit dice, decent hit dice, actually, 1d8 per monk level. First level, 8 hit points plus your constitution modifier. Hit points at higher levels, 1d8 or 5 plus your constitution modifier per monk level after first. Proficiencies, armor, none. And this, for some people, you can't wear armor? That sucks. Not necessarily. The monks have a way of getting around this that really, it's the reason some people say monks are broken. Weapons, simple weapons, swords. You can choose an artificial or one musical instrument. I tend to go musical instrument, just for flavoring. Saving throws, strength or dexterity. Skills, choose 2 from acrobatics, athletics, history, insight, religion, and stealth. And what you choose here, these choices are based on what subclass you're going to pick. You start off with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background. Short sword or simple weapon. I tend to go short sword, You could flavor them with like katanas and all sorts. They have an entire list of monk weapons. What the short sword, a dungeoneer's pack or explorer's pack, depending on what type of what your character's job is going to be, basically. And 10 darts. And okay, so unarmored defense. This is what I was talking about. This is why having no armor proficiencies is not that bad. Unarmored defense, beginning at first level while you're wearing no armor and not wielding a shield, your AC armor, the AC is armor class, means what number someone has to roll or higher to hit you, equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. Now, for monks, dexterity is what you will roll to hit someone. Say you have a dexterity of 16. When you're attacking, you take your d20 or your hit dice, whatever weapon that it calls, or whatever your weapon calls, or you roll it, and then you add your dexterity. So your dexterity needs to be high anyway for a monk. So plus adding that plus your wisdom modifier and then adding 10, you're all set in the armor department. Because one thing, you're supposed to be a slippery little bitch as a monk. Monks are supposed to be able to dodge attacks and then get in there close and just knock the ever-loving shit out of a character. You get your martial arts. This you can use, like I said, you can use dexterity instead of strength. When you're doing unarmed strike, when you're just hitting instead of using your weapon, you roll a d4 and place the normal damage of your unarmed strike or your monk weapon. That's right. The die changes as you gain. When you use the attack action with an unarmed strike or monk weapon on your turn, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. For example, if you take the attack action and attack with a quarterstaff, you can also make an unarmed strike with your bonus action, assuming you haven't taken a bonus action this turn. So that means like you take your staff and you hit him on the right side, like in the head, and then you can use like your unarmed action to hit him in the gut. It's that that fast kung fu action is played there. And here's what I love: it is your ki. That's the energy that you use to power your strikes. Starting at level 2, your training allows you to harness the mystic energies of ki. Your access to this energy is represented by a number of key points. Your monk level determines the number of key points you have, as shown in the key points column on the monks table. We'll get to that. You could spend this. This is what I love. You can spend these points to feel various key features. You start knowing 3 features: Fury of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. I'll get into these in just a minute. Your key save DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. So these numbers add up. So this is one. It's not a problem. It's just here's the options. Fury of Blows, and this is pretty much the bread and butter for a monk. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 1 key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. So basically, you can use this option to attack 3 times, really fast succession. Patient Defense, you spend 1 key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action on your turn. And that's you strike and you can get away. That's what one thing. Step of the Wind. You can spend 1 key point to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled for the turn. And this is really cool that you usually a lot of times when you're get close to the enemy with other classes and you move away, they have what's called an attack of opportunity, which allows them to attack you as soon as you move away. The disengage option allows that to be nullified. You're able to your movement doesn't provoke that opportunity attack for the rest of the turn. You're able to get away without having them attack you. Or the dash. When you take the dash action, you gain extra movement for the current turn. This increase equals your speed after applying any modifiers. With a speed of 30 feet, for example, you can move up to 60 feet on your turn if you dash. So it basically doubles. Say you need to get into a fight real fast, you can use Step of the Wind and dash into it. Say you're, like I said, you and usually for class for races, most races have a 30 feet of movement is pretty much the average. There's some like elves and half elves with 35. There's some like halflings with even, I think, 20, 25 walking speed. So you need to get into a fight real fast. You're able to use the dash action and say the bad guy's 50 feet away. You can get in there real fast and get in there, start taking the attention away from your from the wizard or the casters and allow them to do their things while you have the bad guy occupied. Another great option is the deflect missiles options. This is the idea that you see in monks, like in kung fu movies, the like catching the arrow. But the thing I love about this, it's so like it doesn't say arrows. It says starting at level 3, you can use your reaction to deflect or catch the missile, not necessarily arrows. And I'll explain and I'll share a story in a few minutes that a moment I played a monk, was playing a monk, and it was one of the best moments I ever had at a table. When you are hit, starting at 3rd level, you can use your reaction to deflect or catch the missile when you are hit by a ranged weapon attack. Ranged weapon attack, not necessarily arrows. And there are guns in D&D. A lot of I played one with like muskets and those single shot kind of weapons. Um, very early weapons. I played one, not like machine guns. Like you'll be hard pressed to find a DM who wants um, the AK-47 or the Uzi in their medieval themed D&D setting. And here's what I love: if you reduce the damage to 0, because you rolled when you do so. Let me back up. When you do so, the damage you take from an attack is reduced by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level. So guns, they don't do much damage, but or an arrow doesn't do much damage, but so you roll to see how much. You roll the d10 and but then you roll plus then add your modifiers in your monk level to see how much damage. And here's what it says: if you reduce it to 0, if you reduce the damage to 0, you can catch the missile if it's small enough for you to hold in one hand, and you have at least one hand free. If you catch a missile in this way, you can spend 1 key point to make a ranged attack with the weapon or piece of ammunition you just caught as part of the same reaction. You make this attack with proficiency regardless of your weapon's proficiency, and the missile counts as a monk weapon for the attack, which has a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. So I remember we're fighting some bandits, and one of them pulls out a little musket, shoots my character. I roll deflect missiles, and I reduce it to 0, so I'm allowed to fire it back at him. I role played it like my monk caught it in his mouth and spit it back at him, kind of like you see in like Ace Ventura when he catches the bullet with his teeth. But I spit it back at the guy, hitting him, rolling a hit. The bandit was low enough, only like 6 or 7 points left, because bandits are the low end of the enemy bracket. So I spit it back at him, hit him, and killed him. And it was just such a fun moment. The rest of the table cheered. But it's the role play aspect of this class is so much fun. It's so you can do anything. Like you have here, I'm looking at these are the subclasses. You have the Way of the Mercy, which is a monk, which is basically your medic kind of monk who uses his key to heal. I've seen a lot of Way of the Mercy monks in the aspect of plague doctors. During the Black Plague in Europe, they had those masks with the beaks. They would put they had this kind of look, the mask, the bird mask. I forgot to unmute myself after I had to get a drink. Okay, I'll start again. Thank you, Lady Autumn. I unmuted myself to get a drink. Oh, it scared me. Yeah, I had to mute myself to get a drink. Here's what I was saying. Here's my. I don't know how long I've been talking about. Here's what I was saying. I played a monk and he was a drunken master monk. I basically played him like he was a Goliath. You know, Goliaths are usually muscle bound characters, but I wanted to try something different. I like taking classes and races and mixing them together in a way don't usually you don't usually see. So a monk who's dex based and a Goliath who's usually strength based race doesn't usually you don't usually see, but I like doing it. You know, I'm not a mid maxer kind of player. I'm more of a fun new things kind of player. But how I played him is instead of being the big muscle bound character, he was very lean, almost like a runner. And I got the idea from 300 and how like Spartans, when a Spartan baby was born, the elders would inspect the baby, and if there was any imperfections, they'd leave him on the side of the road. Well, my character's name was Dothak, and I've shared this before, but I love it so much. I'll talk to it again. I'll if I want to, I'll come back next week and talk about it. He was left on the side of a mountain. He was abandoned by his herd for being small and weak, and found by a dwarf couple who went on and raised him as their own. His mother or his father was a cleric for his clan who made the holy water, aka the beer, for the clan. That was his job. His mother always fought with her fists. She never did it. She never used weapons like axes or swords. She would rather fight with her fists. So she taught Dothak how to fight with his fists. He took both of those aspects of his parents because this is how I got away from the dead parent trope in Dungeons and Dragons. It's a typical thing. You have an adventurer on the road because his parents died, and he just outgrew the space, so he wanted to go leave and find his own way. But he took those aspects, the fighting style of his mother and of his dwarf mother, and the love of ale from his father. And one thing I did is I'd play up the size, kind of like Gandalf and Bag In, not realizing, hey, I'm not a dwarf. I'm twice the size of these people, and sometimes he'd forget, like, just how big he was, and he'd run into stuff. And I used that as a way to like kind of disarm his enemies. You know, his enemies would think this guy's a complete fool, and then he turn around and like kung fu their asses. You know, beat their asses. It's so much fun. But I loved. I love these characters. One, the way of the Sun Soul. This is D&D's answer to if you want to play Goku or a Dragon Ball Z character in D&D, you play the way of the Sun Soul. Because monks of the way of the Sun Soul learn to channel their life energy into searing bolts of light. They teach the meditation that can unlock the ability to unleash the light shed by the soul of every living creature. You know, you have a level 3 Radiant Sunbolt, which could be your key blast from Dragon Ball. Searing Arc Strike. You can really flavor these to be like the Kamehameha wave, or Searing Arc Strike could be Destructive Disc. Really fun ways to do it. This one I really like. This is the way of the Cobalt Soul. It's from Critical Role, one of the biggest D&D show around, and a lot of times the DM Matt Mercer will create create things for the show for his players on the show, and he'll work with D&D to incorporate it to into the actual game. That's why it has this um, little box right here. This is partner content. This content is available for campaign with your DM's permission, but isn't published by Wizards of the Coast. To use this content and enable Critical Role character builder. It's like if your local librarian was Jackie Chan, he would be the way of the Cobalt Soul Monk. Okay, here's what it says. Driven by the pursuit of knowledge and its scholars' worship of the knowing mentor, that's the goddess of knowledge. You could any kind of knowledge-based god. The Library of the Cobalt Soul is one of the best respected and most heavily guarded repository of tomes, histories, and information in all of Exandria. That's the Critical Role world. People from all lands come to the library to seek knowledge, and those particularly dedicated to the virtues of truth often pledge their minds and bodies to the Cobalt Soul's cause. Become a member of the Cobalt Souls is to give oneself over to the quest dedicated to unveiling life's mysteries, bringing light to the secrets of concealed evil, and guarding the most powerful and dangerous truths from those whose unwholesome thirst for knowledge might bring death and suffering to others. The monks of the Cobalt Souls are the embodiment of the maxim, know your enemy. Through tireless research, they steel themselves against the unrelenting tides of evil. Through rigorous training, they learn to break through their foes' mental and physical defenses. Then once the fight is done, they record their findings for the future generations of monks to study. Yeah, it's basically if your librarian knew Kung Fu. Yeah, it's a really interesting subclass. Starting at third, they have extract aspects. Starting at third level, you can strike, pursue pressure points to initiate crucial information from a foe. When you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your flurry of blows, you can analyze it. Whenever an analyzed creature misses you with an attack, you can immediately use your reaction to make an unarmed strike against the creature if it's within your reach. This benefit lasts until you finish a short or long rest. Additionally, this is what I love about it. This really helps. This can turn the tide of a battle. Additionally, when you analyze a creature, you learn all of its damage vulnerabilities, damage resistance, damage immunities, and condition immunities. So yeah, it's like I can't. It's the best way to describe it is if your librarian knew Kung Fu. I love monks. I have dozens of characters. Oh, you need something stronger, probably. Coffee not working yet. Ugh, that sucks. T3. I I just love them. It's so much fun. One thing I want to do is actually get into some martial arts classes. It's a good exercise. It would be fun to learn, but it's also great exercise for me to lose some weight. But so I'll show you my my character. I'll show you my Dothak. I mean, this is a character who I want to come back one day to actually play him. The game I played him in ended, and I hope to come back to him. Like I said, he's a male Goliath, and I got to level 14, which is decent. That's why the stats are kind of high. As a drunken master, charisma is the way you interact with people. Charisma measures your ability to interact effectively with others, to include such factors as confidence and eloquence. It can represent a charming or commanding personality. So I chose this as kind of the dump stat of my monk because he's a drunk. To others, he's a drunk. So, the strength like this because he's a Goliath, and Goliaths get a little bonus to strength due to items. So that's why I have such a high dex. So dex is your bread and butter, and due to items I had, and I'll go over them. That's how I have 22 dex and a 75 walking speed. So even with the dash axe, and this is what this is why some people say the monk is so OP due to these stats increases. You know, uh, intelligence. He's not this. He's a decent smart guy. He was raised by two smart parents, so they taught him wisdom. Decent. Um, One item that I oh my god, I got this item, and my DM hated me for it. He should have said no. It's called a luck blade. With luck blade is it counted as it was short sword, so it counted as my monk weapon. So I got the advantages with that. But in the luck blade, since it's a light weapon, it counted as my monk weapon. That's right. You gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. While the sword is on your person, you get a 1+ bonus to saving throws. So I don't even have to have my character. Nothak doesn't even have to have it in his hand to get some advantage. And here is what I loved about the next two things that are what made this. I could have broken the game. I could have broken our game this way. You get 1 luck point. If the sword is on your person, you can call on its luck. No action required to re-roll 1 attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you dislike. You must use the second roll. This property can't be used again until the next dawn. So that means if, say, I'm fighting a dragon and I roll and I miss him, I could use this luck point to re-roll and use that next roll to see if I hit him or not. And here is the amazing thing. In D&D, the most powerful spell in the game is a spell called Wish. It's tricky, but if you pull it off, you're able to make a wish, and you can change the face of reality using this spell. With the luck blade, and particularly with this luck blade, I got 3 wishes every day. Okay, the wish option. This sword has a 1d4 -1 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expand 1 charge and cast the witch spell. If this property can't be used again until the next dawn, the sword loses this property if it has no charges. So I could basically use 2 wishes a day. Safe side, I'd keep 1 so it recharges the next day. That was utterly insane. We fight this mummy monster, and our DM, young guy, rolls for loot on the loot table. He would roll for individual players. He rolls for me, looks up in the list, looks at me, put his hands in his face, shakes his head. He's like, "Dude, you are a lucky son of a bitch." I said, "Why?" And then he gives me the information. I'm like, "Holy shit." But I loved it, and I know that most likely if I take this character to another game, I'll have to probably nerf him a lot. See, and this is why, like, this is why my dexterity was so high, +6. I had a thing called Manual of Quickness of Action. This book contains coordination and balance exercises, and its words are charged with magic. If you spend 48 hours over a period of 6 days or fewer studying the book, book's contents and prosecutes its guidelines, your dexterity score increases by 2, as does your maximum for that score. The manual then loses its power but regains it in a century. So that's why I have 22, because I was already at maximum, plus another item that I was wearing called the Braces of Defense. While wearing these braces, you gain a +2 bonus to AC if you're wearing no armor or shield. Actually, that's why my armor class is 21. I was hard to hit. You couldn't. Oh, Dothak was a slippery motherfucker. And one thing, I don't remember what spells. I had the Ring of Spell Storing, which basically a wizard can put a spell into the ring, cast it. Anyone can cast it, and it won't cost a spell slot, which is basically how many times you can a caster can cast spells. But it's a fun character. I love this character. You know, it's not often you're able to create something that's generally yours. One thing I had, which came in handy, I had wing boots, which allowed me to fly up to 4 hours at a time, which allowed me to really pull off some amazing moves. And get it once got me into a hairy situation where we were stuck in this maze like dungeon, and I see our group sees like a rival adventure team across this chasm covered in lava. So I decide I'm going to fly over there, and I go out and I get over the lava, just past the ledge, and you hear this booming voice of the announcer of the games saying, "Oh, Dothak's trying to cheat," and he undoes the magic of my boots. So I go falling, about to fall in the lava, and I'm able to through some very lucky rolls, able to get my sword out and get it lodged into to the wall and catch myself before I fell in the lava and died. I would have been so mad if Dothak died, but it is what it is. It's the thing. I think that the reason D&D is so popular, and it's been around since like the 70s, it allows you to create your own thing. You're not pigeonholed by storylines or predetermined aspects of characters. You're able to create your character from the ground up, and you can change it. The reason they're not called rule books, they're called handbooks, is because it allows you're allowed to change it. You're allowed to work with your game master to change things, to really homebrew your characters. And it's so much fun to actually build something from the ground up and find out if it works or not. Even if it doesn't work, you can always go back and tweak it. It's so much fun. That's why I like it. And talking about monk weapons earlier, I wanted, and this, it's so clear how you see. You have all here. You have on this column. You have the actual. If you were to go on into your handbook and look up the weapons, these would be the weapons. But then you have monk alternatives. Short sword. You have butterfly swords. You have the Tao. Let's see. Like all these great alternatives, which is one reason I really like the monks. Here's the Tao, little short Chinese sword. beautiful. I oh gosh, if I love this stuff. Uh, you have the 3 section staff for the quarter staff, which I love. All these. See the boast. Let's see. What does it say about ninja? Where's Ninjato? Let's see. 1 second. You have. I'm back. You have the size. All these are able to are different flavors of the weapons. You're able to kind of reskin them a little bit in game, and that's one thing about a monk. You have all this extra options to really make unique characters with unique skills who are able to fill in the roles needed to make a good party. To me, it's just everyone wants to be the hero in some form or another, and I think Dungeons and Dragons really it scratches many itches that a person can have. It scratches that creative itch that they have that they need done, but also that heroic itch, that sense of accomplishment, that idea that I created something and through that you're accomplishing something. Like the very first game I ever played, it was over Discord, and we were playing a homebrewed evil campaign. We were a group of evil characters hired to take out this famous group of heroes. And I played a halfling rogue assassin named Colvin the Twin. I've shared this before. I know I shared this before, but I love this is another character that I absolutely love and hope to come back to one day. He was called the Twin because he used twin daggers. And he saw assassination as a community service, not unlike the baker, a blacksmith, or something like that. People would come to him to hire him for his services. So he was hired to join this group to take out these band of heroes. The very first game, I got the killing blow. And I thought to myself, oh, I could have fun with this. I found Colvin, he would play, he didn't just kill, he played mind games with people, his enemies. So what I did, I took the hero and using my blades, I cut his head off and put it on a pike so the other group of these heroes would know about it. Because what we would do is every session, we started at level 10, so we started kind of high. We would fight one member of the party in each session, and kind of like each member was the big bad boss of the session. And what we did in one session, of course, would impact how the characters would react in another. And the group was Vox Machina, which was the Critical Role first season party. So we were playing in that world, the Critical Role world. And I took the character, put its head on a pike, and our next fight was with another one of the characters, and he knew about it. He knew what had happened, so he was angry. Well, then we get to two of the other characters, which they were a couple, so we played them both in this one session. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well. And what my character did is he disguised himself and got a job working in the castle as one of the characters' kind of servant. He used this as an opportunity to gather information for the evil party. So I had my character had spent a year working there, gathering information. So by the time the fight came around, we had all the information we needed, make it easier for us. So we're in the middle of the fight, and I call to one of the enemy characters, and I use my magic to disguise myself. And then she realized that she'd been betrayed, and it really threw her off and brought down the rolls a little bit. And it's just, I ended up getting shot in the face. My character got shot in the face and killed by the rifleman. But the role playing aspect of it was so much fun. But guys, I've actually been going an hour and a half, and that's unusual for me on a solo stream. Usually to get an hour and a half, I need someone who talks a lot, like Shelly or Rex or someone on here with me. But I needed to stream. I needed to just talk, I guess, it's just been one of those weeks, where you just need to relax afterwards, really, that you're glad it's over, but so my next videos, I'm going to try to be doing some movie reviews. Since Ghostbusters, I'm going to be probably next Saturday doing my Ghostbusters Afterlife in-depth review. A rule here at the Outpost is 2 weeks after a movie starts is when I'll review it. I give that a little time for like the fans to watch it. But that doesn't leave me so much time that the hype of it's gone already. So I'll be doing that. I'll be talking about Dune sometime this week, doing an in-depth review of Dune. But thank you all for being here. If you want to support the channel, I got a Cash App link scrolling down. I think I have that set up correctly. But leave a like, leave a sub, share. I am so close to 150 subscribers. I think I'm at 144. Let's check. Let me check. Come on. Slow ass computer. Computer's so slow. Oh, Streamception. Yes, I have 144 subs, and I'm so grateful for all 144 of them. So help me get to 150, and then we can get to 200. Share, check out my friends Talking Trash and Truth for some really great, really in-depth and really fun streams. Shelly's awesome. If you don't mind squirreling out and talk, go to Talking Trash and Truth. It's really fun. It's great chats in there. We have some really interesting, fun topics. Shelly has had such an interesting life with so many different jobs. It's really fun to hear what she has to say about things. And also check out my boy Winning Reality for some really in-depth looks behind the curtains. You'll hear some things that will really make you question what you believe. And it's
fascinating topics. Tune into his channel tomorrow night. Shelly could tell me if I'm wrong tonight, but we'll have a is it? Let me check that. I'm gonna share the links real quick. I should have had these up already. Here's Shelly's channel. Check it out. Love this. Girl's awesome. Nope, that's not what I want. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. I need to start making a list of. If I put these on a list, it'll probably be so much better. Let's find the live. We have Winning Saturday Night tonight. I'll put a link on for that. Come join us. Winning will definitely have great topics. So come join us. And then on Sundays, we he doesn't have that. I guess he doesn't have that up yet. I guess we're not doing that tomorrow. I'll share the link if I find out. But these are two channels I absolutely love listening to. They're two great friends of mine. So check them out, and leave them a like and a sub if you haven't already, and share them. Go show them some love and support. Show me some love and support. So on that note, hour and a half in, wow, decent solo stream. As I always say, as it says under my name, I'm the nerd of the Outpost. Find your passion and nerd out about it. I'm gone.
Lost in space, I found my police. In this outpost of silence, to my way. Binary code runs through my veins. With every beat and beat, I feel no pain. Signing off, it's time to go. Goodbye, my nerdy friends, see you later, I know. Through the stars, we've shared this ride. But now it's time to say goodbye, farewell.